Insane people. It's a group of people, as well as a mindset, that we've encountered on multiple occasions in our travels. Be they artistic serial killers, suit-based people, or valiant heroes that ride imaginary motorcycles off into the sunset, complete with custom sound effects. All of them and more will be at home here, in the Parsons State Insane Asylum. To those of you that have watched my video on Cabot House, you will already know that they are the founders of this institute, all built to house Lorenzo, Jack Cabot's father. However, bar a bit at the end, he's not the topic of conversation today. The asylum is, located towards the upper northeastern area of the map, the more, let's say, frigged section of the map. Now, without further ado, let's have a wee look. As we saw in the Cabot House video, raiders have stormed the place and turned it over, with some of their corpses, as well as the corpses of Jack's security forces, dotting the driveway of the asylum, watched over by both the creepy and judgmental female statues above the entrance, as well as the regal and, I don't know, a bit fed up looking lions. Several destroyed cars and a shuttle bus / ambulance can be found here as well. This means that some people were probably visiting their family members inside here, or there was staff, and the bus may have been taking a patient in or bringing one out, so the place was probably still pretty active up until the bombs dropped. Before we head inside, I think it's worth taking a look at the grounds surrounding the asylum. As you can see, the walls have been breached at multiple points. This is most likely due to the various raider groups in the Commonwealth, each trying to seize control of this building, as to be honest it would provide a pretty good strategic location. It's also possible, mind, that the death clause were the cause. The asylum is located right next to Lynn Woods, and I would be surprised if one of them didn't pop over for a wee nosy about at least once or twice. The large generators here are most likely part of the backup system that Jack told us about, allowing the asylum to keep running even after the bombs hit. Now, we get our first look at the remains of the patients that once resided here, telling us the asylum was indeed still active when the bombs were dropped. A few of them can be found out here, as we will see. Wheelchairs either lying empty or still serving as the seat to the bones of their former owners. Games of various descriptions can also be found on a few of the tables. More of the statues can also be found here, and I find it creepy that they are illuminated. I don't think they provide a calming environment for the mentally ill, though that's just my unprofessional opinion. One of these calming areas can be found against the back wall near the pool. It appears to be a greenhouse of some description, wherein I'm sure patients were encouraged to grow and tend to their own plants. I don't really know a lot about the various treatments for different mental illnesses, so I couldn't tell you if this is an actual treatment. However, fresh air, some hard work and colourful flowers do seem like the type of calming activity that someone suffering from a mental illness may wish to take part in. It seems that the sole occupant of this room was doing just that, so at least, hopefully, they were content in their last moments. In what I assume is the centre of the gardens, a lone teddy can be found lying on a seat. This could suggest either someone with an illness that rendered them childlike, or that a child themselves was visiting someone here. Since the teddy's still here, it's doubtful whether the owner ever left. Just like in our previous episode, we have another pond here, though this one is bigger and doesn't have swan in it. Though it does have something interesting. The corpse of a male patient can be found here, presumably drowned, having fallen off their wheelchair as it went into the water. It begs the question what the fuck the staff were doing, as the explosion didn't put them in here, so they must have went in before that, then fell out of view once they got in the water. And, I don't know, none of the other patients seen it, or just didn't want to say anything? Next point of interest is this shaded area on the other side of the lake, where a woman can be found in her chair. 2 baby bottles and a rattle can be found here, so perhaps she is the one with the childlike mind. Or she's still mourning the death of a child, the loss of which broke her. Round the corner from her is this chap here, who, I don't know, looks to have been at some point hooked up to an IV, and based on the restraints on the bed he is on, may have been a violent patient, having been restrained to prevent them from hurting anyone. Well, now that the exterior is out of the way, let's take a look at the inside. Oh, what a shock. What a surprise. It looks like shit. Seriously though, the place is a mess. I know rot and mold and all would have played a part, but Christ, the place does not look like it was one of healing and happiness. Looks like the type of place you go to kill yourself. And considering what is in the basement, I suppose in many ways that is true. We shall go down to the corridor to the left first, and of course, a teddy in a wheelchair serves as a lovely introduction to the various creepy things here. There isn't much in the first room to the left, however, upon exiting it, we come to a tricycle. Can't help but feel it's a Shining reference, and the blocks just beyond it spell out crazy. Yup, I have a good feeling about this place. Up a flight of stairs, we come to what may have been a recreational area for the patients here, with some board games and the like lying around. Of course, a mannequin is also present, though Moses knows why. It's creepy, it's unnerving, and it's not what you want around patients with a mental illness. Fuck, I don't want it around me, and I swear I am perfectly sane. Through the door at the end of this landing, we come to a small storage room with a hole broken open in the wall. It leads to... For fuck's sake, okay. No, we're talking about this. Why mannequins? Is it because they look like people? Because they look like dead people? Were they used as therapy of a sort? Did the asylum sell designer clothes and needed someone to prop them on? Why are you here? Did the radiation give you temporary life? Was it cruelly stripped away after you experienced the nirvana of consciousness? Why are you watching me? Fuck me. I'm sorry, I just don't know why these bastards turn up everywhere with no explanation. It makes no sense. Okay, so down the stairs from all that, we come to the administration area. If it looks familiar, it's because we were here in our Cabot House video. This is Jack Cabot's office, on the desk of which the charisma bobblehead can be found. But I already took it, so... yeah, but it's his terminal that is the interesting thing, and we shall look at it now. The first choice gives us a series of options that monitor the various security systems around the asylum, and below. Given that this is after the raider attack, most of it's gone tits up. Now what we want to look at is in the patient records. The first patient is his father, who was admitted involuntarily in 1835, just to give you an idea of how old this asylum is. If you want more details, go watch the video pertaining to him, but bottom line, he was fucking about with alien technology. Jack felt he was going off the deep end and locked him up here. He was a loving son. The second entry is one Antonio De Soto, whatever. He seems like he could have been a very nice person, though for some reason he doesn't require treatment. Based on the name, maybe a Clockwork Orange reference, I'm not sure. Entry 3 is Anelia Stawaski, I think. She admitted herself and has never said she committed a crime. However, details she talked about resemble a mass poisoning. Her treatment was art, and although we never seen it, I imagine it was Pickman-esque. No idea if this is a reference to anything. Entry 4 is about a hardcore wee shit. He was admitted by juvenile services and admits to many stabbings and homicides. His family won't visit, cause, as I mentioned, he's a shit. Also, it takes Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor to make him stop cackling like a maniac. I think this is either a reference to the Joker, or perhaps even to the Pint Sized Slasher, as being a child, he does fit the description. The last entry is called, Charisse Fano, I think. She likes leather, and also has paraphilia, which is about having abnormal sexual desires. Also, apparently sex with men may have been part of her therapy, perhaps to encourage her to do it without being a freak. And from the sentence structure, I can't tell if Jack was meant to be the one she was having sex with. Also, black leather female under possible Joker child? I assume she's meant to be Catwoman. Okay, so the last guy's Batman. Yeah, he's called Nightwar, he won't give his real name, thinks he's a superhero, and apparently attacks some of the other patients. Though then again, that wee kid probably needs a good boot up the hole. His therapy revolved around getting him to accept this reality. So that's all the patients we get info on here, though there was no doubt many more. I don't know how many of them would still be here, considering many of them would only be treated for a few years. And the last to get here was Charisse, though all three of the possible DC references may have been here at the same time, and after the bombs dropped. Now, to take a look at the indoor garden area. It seems like some work was still being done here just before the bombs. And thank God it was, or we wouldn't be able to progress. This area has a few wheelchairs present, though I'm not sure whether they escaped or died here. They may have survived given how far away the asylum was from the initial blast. I imagine this area was so that the more at-risk patients could still walk around and get some sunlight, though without the issue of them scaling the walls and doing a runner. If we go up the scaffolding, we come to a hole that leads us to a room with a door. This door leads us deeper into the asylum, and shows us many interesting things. So here we are in what looks like the more living quarter-esque part of the building. So of course there is more shenanigans, and tomfoolery, and corpses. The first example of all of this is in this bedroom off the left here. There are 5 bastard monkeys in here, who all start glowing red and clicking their shitty symbols. I think this might be a reference to the nursery rhyme, 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Well, these monkeys can go jump the fuck off. Across the way we come to the kitchen, which I assume is one of many as there's not enough food contained in here for the 50 plus people who are either confined here or worked here. However, at least this floor does show off its apparent lack of one, i.e. this collapsed one that killed all these old people playing either chess or checkers, and several staff, if that is who the lab coat wearing people are. Ignore the Vault-Tec logo, it's just because Bethesda reused it. A Jangles the Moon Monkey is also in this corner here, if you're into that sort of thing. The rest of this floor is just more admin areas, or possibly a relaxation area of sorts. Then it's through this hole in the wall and downstairs. So it leads us down to one of the isolation wings, though I'm not sure if it's the one mentioned in the terminal, although many of the rooms do have interesting stories to tell. The one opposite the room we emerge into, maybe not so much. There is an empty dinner tray and this fellow lying dead beside a toilet. I'm assuming he starved to death, or something similar to that. The next one is tastier. This woman seems to have killed herself by bashing her head in on the toilet. Or she could have slipped and fell. Both options are equally sad and depressing. And funny. Across from her is this weird room. The person next door seems to have tunneled or broken through the wall somehow, and they're trying to get the person hiding under the bed. Shitting themselves, I'm sure. Why are they trying to get to them? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say they might have been insane. Maybe. The room of the person themselves tells a different story, however. They have scrawled random crap on the walls and spelled out "help me" on the ground with chalk. Perhaps they weren't trying to attack the person next door, but just thought they might offer a way to escape, if only to the next room. Across from this one is a very interesting one. The person here managed to break out of their cell, possibly using the toilet to break the wall. The person in the next cell over did likewise. They met in the middle and shared a passionate kiss. Not sure how they died, as they should have been protected from the blast and radiation. Perhaps they just gave in once they got this far. Next up is this loon, who seems to have resorted to fishing for their own shit in order to survive. I have many questions, such as why they thought this would work. But first and foremost is, where did they get a fishing pole from? The room next to this is a lovely mannequin party. I've already had my rant, so I'll say no more on the matter, only that I still don't know why they're here. Inside the office is a syringer, which I'm sure they use to administer tranquilizers or drugs to the patients. Next, we drop down onto the next floor, where some random surviving raiders scared the absolute fucking shit out of me when I was recording this. This floor leads to the remains of yet more isolated areas for us to take a gander at. Straight opposite us has another mannequin alone in the cell, so perhaps my theory that they were all alive after the bombs dropped is in fact true, and Jack was just trying to help them out when they got depressed. Next door to this is someone with a trifold and a top hat, possibly a war veteran of sorts, and it looks like they just passed away in their sleep at some point. Hopefully. The last office has no syringer, and since these patients do not seem as crazy, perhaps that is why. Next, it's into the elevator, and off to the secret but not really holding area for Lorenzo. So on coming down here, I could hear Strong speaking. I think part of this area may lead outside or be outside the contained area for the house or something, I'm not really sure, as I did leave him outside. Also, it's weird that this still seems so ramshackle and ill-maintained, even though it's clearly been here and used for a very long time by Jack, most likely since the asylum was built. The lab itself has a lot of advanced equipment, as previously discussed. Now since we did, I will keep this brief. Lorenzo was kept here to be researched and treated by Jack after he came in contact with an artifact that changed him. It made him immortal, the essence of which was derived from his blood, and gave him strength and telekinesis. The Abremulum generators dotted around the holding area kept his power in check, preventing him from using it, which is how he was kept here, and how Jack harvested his blood from him. The Parsons State Insane Asylum, built by the Cabots back in the 1800s to house Lorenzo Cabot, so they had a cover under which they could research him. However, many more patients have come to call this place home, or prison, notably Night War, and possibly a Catwoman and Joker / Pint Sized Slasher inspired boy. These and many more patients were confined to the isolation wing. It was most likely sealed once the bombs hit, and Jack either didn't get to them in time to save them from starvation, or just left them in there as he had no way to take care of them. Some patients were luckier, such as the ones outside, who almost certainly died instantly, though the chap in the pool may have drowned unfortunately. This was, on the whole, a creepy and mannequin-filled place, with many objects in unexplainable positions, and many people left to die in what were very miserable conditions. What really sticks out, however, is that this place was home to many sick people over the years, and even after centuries, their sadness, pain, and suffering is still apparent in this building. A dark asylum of the broken and fragile, whose last moments we can still see. I hope you liked this look at all of it. If you did like it, give the video a like, and if you want regular updates, subscribe. Any questions for lore or future videos should be left in the comments below. Better yet, go onto my subreddit so we can discuss them in more detail. It's linked in the description. If you wish to, you can support me on Patreon, which is also linked in the description. Go have a gander at the rewards. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular updates or have a wee chat. Any business you wish to discuss, email me at thenthapple.business@gmail.com and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, goodbye.